with the opportunity for a Hollywood finish will take the 250.
Phoenix, there they go, down to the bottom, 4 or 5 wide. Let's see if they can all keep it together. But Jacob ARCA.
Remember last year when they ran the Weenie 500, they streamed it on YouTube, on their YouTube channel? They're bringing it to TV this year.
Good evening, everyone. This is your host, John Miles speaking, and we have yet another race in the Bottom Split Racing Series. And tonight, we, on this lovely Monday evening, are heading to none other than Michigan International Speedway. Soon to be followed up this Wednesday when the Wednesday Night Dash Series comes here, but we're going to give you a little teaser with a 35-lap shootout, I believe, to get this weekend rolling. As the drivers head off to start their qualifying laps, we're going to go ahead and take a look at that track info. Michigan International Speedway, it's located in Brooklyn, Michigan. Opened in 1968. It's a 2-mile track, intermediate style racing. Lots of drafting, though, so keep an eye out for that. 18 degrees of banking in the turns, 12 degrees in the front tri-oval, and then 5 degrees on the backstretch. 20-minute practice just wrapped up as we start our 2-lap qualification attempt. I misspoke earlier, it's a 30-lap race, not a 35-lap race. But as the drivers start to qualify, we're going to go ahead and take a look at those drivers' standings and see where they line up compared to the rest of the field. As you can see, the 32 of Garrett Jarnigan coming off an incredible finish with Robert Lewis there in second. They take up your top 2 spots as they finished last week, both first for Robert Lewis and second for Garrett Jarnigan. Great finish. Highly recommend going back and watching that if you haven't. Rohan James rounds out the podium spot in the number 25 car with 98 points, followed by DJ Fluck, Jacob ARCA, Jax Malin, Connor Fuge. Eric Richardson and Connor Fuge have a tie for 90 points for 7th. JP Jones in 9th, and rounding out your top 10 is Harrison Santos. As the drivers start to do their qualifying laps, once again, I'd like to remind you it is a 2-lap shootout. Now, taking a look one more time at that track info, Michigan International Speedway, super important note that you can go pretty fast by yourself, but drafting is going to be the name of the game. Something else to mention is they removed the anti-roll bar in these ARCA cars in the most recent update, which means you should see drivers get a little bit more back end loose. Expect to see that, especially coming out of the draft or coming into a draft, especially on the exits of 2 and turns 4. Should increase the amount of tire wear we see overall, which should lead to more passing, not just in the draft, but more substantial draft passes when they are in the draft. As the drivers are completing their laps, we have 2 minutes to go in qualifying for them to get their laps in. I'd like to apologize if there's any delays or lags. I am on spring break, so we're having a little bit of a remote setup, so I do apologize if there's any stutters. Please bear with me through them. I'll try to get everything as smooth as I can for you all. It appears the number 2 of Jacob ARCA right now is posting the fastest lap. Once again, it's important to note that these lap times you see by these drivers will be substantially faster within the draft. These ARCA cars already have a lower horsepower package than what we're used to, especially when compared to the Cup Series cars that we'll be running here on Wednesday, and especially the Indy cars too that I believe the finale will be on Tuesday. Not the IndyCar finale, but eventually the IndyCar finale will take place at Michigan International Speedway. Should be a good time. Make sure to check out that. And with that being said, let's take a look at that Indy Racing World Series schedule. We head to Spa tomorrow. Should be very interesting, to say the least. Should be a lot of left and right hand turns as these drivers try to figure out a track that wasn't necessarily meant for IndyCar. Should be a good time. Taking a look at the rest of the Bottom Split Racing Series schedule. As you can see, next we go to Lime Rock Park. Gotta have some fun on a road course. See what these guys can do. It's a pretty tough road course. We ran there in the trucks a couple seasons ago. Not a lot of room to make mistakes, or you just end up in the grass or way off course. So we'll see if there's any bumping and banging whenever we head back to Lime Rock. As I mentioned earlier, Wednesday Night Dash does conclude this Wednesday for the championship race at Michigan. Coming back here should be a really, really good time. Tight points battle right now. I believe Dawson Buchanan has the lead, but he's within strike, or both second and third. I believe Tyler Cheney and Christopher Fuge are within striking distance. So we'll see if they can get it done and steal it from him. One last reminder, if you missed it, the Garage Talk new episode dropped this past Friday. Join Eric Richardson and DJ Fluck as they talk about all things iRacing Season 2 related, as well as the new Showtime Esports Managers released. Really looking forward to seeing when that all fleshes out, especially in the app, so keep a lookout on that. As well as they discuss Las Vegas, Arlington, and the China race for F1. As the drivers begin to grid up, we'll make one final announcement for the GT Endurance Series schedule. We just wrapped up Sebring last week. If you were there, glad to have you. Broadcast is always fun to listen to. Normally it's a pretty good time. We got a little bit till the next one, but feel free to join the Discord. Just contact Stadium Scene through their Instagram or check out frracingonline.com to see all that stuff. And you can get in totally free to enter. Just a great way to meet some of the guys and also get some road course prep in. As the drivers begin to grid, we'll go ahead and take a look at our front spot. Jacob Barker is going to be leading us to grid. Once again, as you can see those stutters, I do apologize for the spring break Wi-Fi. Make sure to have that fixed by next time we run here. Points leader Garrett Jarnigan is starting on the outside of Jacob Barker. Should be a really good battle to see if we can see that outside line prevail. It'll be really important to see how good these cars get hooked up on this restart. Expect a lot of pushing and shoving in these lower horsepower cars. You're going to need some help to get those big runs and catch people. If you are the guy in first, it's going to be super tough to get away as the pace car is rolling off as they enter the restart zone. And green, 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 green. Barker's fired off pretty solid. Don't believe Garrett Jarnigan's quite side by side. No, it looks like 32 is side by side with the 25, but that bottom row is very disconnected. As you can see, JP Jones is a little bit farther back than 21, isn't quite to the back bumper of Rohan James. As the outside starts to surge, as Garrett Jarnigan gets right on the bumper of the number 2, 25 will tuck in line. A little bit farther back, we have 3 wide going on right now with the 24. Was the 5 and the 21. Still 3 wide as they're trying to get it figured out. Important note, if this is your first time here, there are no cautions and should be no reason to make a pit stop. So, there's a little contact there between the 24 and the 4. 4 looks like tried sliding out a little, but was not quite clear. It's going to kill the run for both of them. As you can see, the 101 of Robert Lewis passed both of them. A little bit farther up, the 32 and the 2 are still linked up pretty good. They're starting to pull away. Now, 2 cars can pull away a little if the cars behind them start to get spread out. But it's important to note that if the cars work together behind these front two, it's going to be really hard to pull away from this front pack. JP Jones, who was in that 3-wide move a little bit earlier, seems to be on the best side of things as he's moved up to P3. A little farther back, the number 5 is side by side with the number 12 or 13 coming out of the corner. As they get lined up right there, a little bit farther up, we see a big move right there as the 01 gets connected to the 21, pushing them just a little bit. It's really interesting to see on this track, Michigan especially, between the drafting, the pushing, and the different lines you can run. Some people will find the car end up on the tighter end on the farther part of a run, while other cars, they really kill that back rear tire, the right rear tire, and they end up having to nurse that thing and not spin themselves out, end up with a looser racing car. So it'll be interesting to see as the 5 makes contact right there, a little bit sideways, saves it though. What a save. Still side by side, leaves on the quarter panel, it's just really stacked up behind him. Five with a big run there when the 01 slides up in front of the 13. It's a little shot right there, gets in line with the draft. As the 2 is doing a great job of just controlling this race right now, working both lanes, timing the runs up to make sure nobody gets up besides him and starts side drafting. The 5 is one of the biggest movers right now as he's moved up to P3. Looking for P2, but doesn't look like he's going to have much help. But then the 2 slides down right in front of him, getting that draft. Whenever all that air comes on your nose, it slightly makes your car tight, especially on entrance and corner. The drivers really need to keep an eye on that to not burn up that right front tire and try to balance this right front as much as they can with the right rear to maintain a fast race car throughout this entire run. As the 5 still side by side with the 21, cuts down low. You see he slides up a little bit because of that low entrance as the 21 works his way around, maintaining second. As the 5 gets shuffled back even farther, big mover right there is a 24 who was a little bit second or third to last before in the last lap, and he's moved his way up. It's all about momentum here, finding your drafting partners, finding your help, and seeing where you're going to end up. So the 32 has fallen way back. I must have missed something because the 32 is back to 6th, as it states, with the number 1 position belonging to the 21 of JP Jones. Jacob ARCA has fallen back to 2nd. Now, if you're the 21, you cannot get too far out here. It's important to maintain that gap as there's huge contact there between the 24 and I believe the 01 maybe, as the 24 tries to go back on track. Ooh, big contact there between the 19 and the 87. 19 gets checked up. Not sure exactly what happened to 24, but knowing his reputation, because he races under our banner, there might be a little bit of payback coming if you can get back to either the 01 or the 1. I wasn't quite sure on who made contact with him there. Doesn't appear to have wrecked the race car, which is good, as all drivers are still currently on the lead lap. All of them are currently racing, still green. JP Jones is still waiting. This for the 01 of Braden Lewis, has made his way up to P2 as he runs that little bit higher lane as the number 2 takes a peek inside. We'll see if we can get that run off. Still going to be side by side on exit. See who's the 21 going to get the draft to. Here's giving it to the 2. As you can see, the 2 starts to lurch just a little bit farther ahead. But the 5 with a big run behind him, just trying to maintain here with the 32 right on his rear. As the field starts to get a little separated out, the 88 and the 19 are falling a little bit off pace. It's important, you cannot lose that draft. You want to save tires, but if you stay too far back, you'll lose the draft, and there's no way to get it back. So if you're those 2, just make sure you stay within that draft. As we still have a very tight battle up here towards the front. It's easy to overdrive these corners with drafts, so you make sure you have to give yourself plenty of ample time to back up the corner and maximize that exit speed. We have super long backstretch and front tri-oval, so you got to maximize your exit speed more than your entry speed. As we're coming up on a third of the way through the race. On this particular track, fuel tends to be more of a worry before tires are. These cars would in theory run out of fuel about lap 40-ish, maybe a little bit farther than that if they can maintain or fuel save. Typically that becomes a problem before the tires do, but that does not mean by any means the tires do not matter, because they especially do on handling. And these drivers are getting a taste too of what it feels like to not have that anti-roll bar, as they're used to a lot stiffer of an ARCA car. Especially on exit of corners, you burn that right front up just because you don't quite have the turn that you're used to. So if you prefer a little bit looser of a race car, that might be an advantage for you. If you don't, well then you got to learn to adapt, as we're about halfway through the season. As the 5 is side by side with the 01 a little bit farther back. We'll have to see if we can manage that gap, as the 01 has the preferred line, especially on the exit of the corner. 32's there. We'll see if the 32 gives the 5 a push. Looks like he's going to stay in line. Peeking out a little, get a little clean air on the nose, but for the most part staying in line. 24 might have fallen out of the draft here. Not sure what damage he's dealing with. It looks like he's fine, but it could be some stuff on the inside. That has him just knocked out of the draft right now. He's 7/10 behind the guy in 8th, which is the 13 of Eric Richardson. Potentially he could work his way back up, but right now he's got to push just a tiny bit harder than he'd probably want to, just to try to get back in that draft. As there's a big scramble a little bit farther up. Looks like the 5's in the wall. He's falling back. Let's take a replay and see what happened there with the 5. Boom, right there. So that's a good instance there of what I was talking about, how the cars tend to get loose now on exit. You can see him chasing him up the track a little sideways and just smacks it right there. Unfortunate in the day for the 5s. You can see him coming down pit road. Had some speed up there, but that's one of those things that I was talking about. You have to manage those runs, and just takes more seat time to get used to how these cars drive now, just a little bit looser on exit. As the 01 and the 21 have now, there's the 32 making a charge now on the inside line. That little checkup has allowed the 24 and the 13 to catch back up to the main pack. As you can see, they're back up towards now in the main set of drafting. Take a little bit farther back and see. It looks like the rest of the cars are, does appear they're almost out of the draft. The 19 and the 88 want to get back to the main pack. They got to work together here. As we take a look back at the 21, still some great side-by-side racing, especially there with the 25 and 32. And the 1. Everyone's trying to get a piece of it. Scott Rolls trying to make a name for himself as well. And the 4 car. As we are halfway done this time by. Well, I got some good side-by-side racing going on right now. Let's get a little bit of some Crank It Up right now, brought to you by Stadium Scene TV. as we catch the big one right there in the middle of our new segment. We'll go ahead and take a look back and see what the heck we just missed. As we see the 24 make a move 3 wide. Looks like the 25 just bumps him there, just sneaks up the track a little bit and just turns him. Does collect a lot of people, including your points leader, the 32 of Garrett Jarnigan. Really unfortunate. Looks like the 24 is a little pissed off and decides to end his day. As all those cars roll down pit road, the 21 still out front with the 01 behind him. If you're Robert Lewis here, you pretty much just have to cruise and not wreck to take the points lead, so good day for them. As it looks like our top 3 have kind of checked out, with the next guy, the 1 of Harrison Santos, being a little ways back with the number 87, fighting it out side by side. Looks like the 24 is going to get back rolling, try to salvage what he can out of the points day. See, he's cycling out the P8, 1 lap down. Still a lot to fight for if you're a lap down here. Although there are no cautions, it's important to note there can still be wrecks, so if somebody else does wreck out, it does give you time on track to try to pass them back. So at this point, Jack Smale on the 24 rolling back out. The worst he can finish now is 8th. As long as he doesn't get passed by the 32 or wreck again. But right now, if anyone in the top 7 wrecks out, you inherently jump them. So although it is frustrating for any of those cars involved in that wreck to be wrecked out, it does help to go back out to not only get more seat time and more practice, but it also helps just to further your position in the point standings in case some bad fortune happens to the rest of the top 7 as it runs right now. As the 2's kind of out there on a day drive right now, 33 seconds behind the leader. John Jarvis kind of in a similar boat, 12.5 seconds kind of over there by himself. Harrison Santos and Nick Warboy have also kind of checked out a little, but Braden Lewis missed that, and the 01 has taken the lead. Huge gap too. Had a little Fox Sports moment there, going turn it up just for the big wreck to happen, so should have had that segment brought to you by Fox Sports, but that's okay. As the 01 is starting to cruise just a little bit away, Scott Rolls is kind of staying in line. He does have JP Jones right on his bumper. If those 2 can work together, they can track down Robert Lewis in the 01, but at this point in the run, with about 7, 8 more laps to go, you start to see that tire wear start to take effect. So if those Scott Rolls and JP Jones did not stay the tires they needed to, Braden Lewis in the 01 can start to pull away just a little bit, but it does not appear he's doing so. As you can see, that gap is starting to shrink ever so slightly as the 4 gets snuggled up the draft of the 01. You'll see him start to gain. A little bit farther back, the 24 still on track, 32 still out there, and the 88 of DJ Fluck is now 2 laps down. I have to imagine he was also an innocent bystander in that last wreck. As the 01's gap has shrunk to under 3/10, almost 2/10 of a second. As you can see, the 4 has caught up to him. The speed of 21 still is in the draft. Could be just biding his time to see what laps come down. The 01 is no stranger to holding off traffic, especially when it comes to the last couple laps. He did an excellent job of that with the 32 last week. Once again, I highly recommend you go check that race back if you've missed it. Incredible finish, closest finish in Bottom Split Racing Series history, with the 01 coming out on top as the 4 makes a move inside. See if it sticks. Sends it on in there as the 4 goes by. Beautiful draft there at turn 4 to set that move up. The Owen wants to get him back. He wants to get that draft, but I would recommend trying to hug on that quarter panel to try to get some side draft going. Still no battle, a little bit farther back, as the gap is kind of maintained for everybody else. Really just this battle is for the top 3 as the 01 goes super high. A little offline there. The 21 does get by him. Good battle right now. We'll see if the 01 can get there on the quarter. Doesn't appear so. The 21 slides up. Little loose there. You can see that back right end start to come out just a little bit as the handling starts to go away with 4 laps to go. Robert Lewis seems to have a little bit better car than 21, but is it good enough to catch up to the 4? The 21 gets very aggressive going in the corner, sliding up to the wall. He's going to give the 01 a little bit of a draft. Coming to the front stretch. Going to be at his bumper, entering the corner. We'll see where he goes. Stays in line, then shoots low. 21 does a great job of wrapping that 3rd lane right there. Not quite the fence, but a couple rows down from it as he maintains momentum off the corner. Three laps to go. If you're Scott Rolls right now, you can see that gap starting to increase now to 0.8 of a second. Still a battle a little bit farther back, but these two, what they're doing right now is everything that the 4 wants to see as he continues to build that gap little by little. Don't believe the 01 is going to have enough laps nor the tires to get by the 4, but even the 21 at this point. As the gap continues to increase for the number 4. She's now stretched it to almost a second. Still a good battle between the number 2 and the 01. The timing is a little bit messed up. The 27 is not second. There's your proper 3rd placer right there in the 01. But that'll do it for the 30 lap race. Scott Rolls coming home with your checkered flag. 2.5 ahead of JP Jones, who rounds out, and then Braden Lewis, who rounds out your top 3. Go ahead and take a look at those results. Scott Rolls, P1, JP Jones, P2, Braden Lewis rounding out your podium, Warboy finishing 4th, Harrison Santos 5th, John Jarvis 6th, Jacob Barker 7th, Jax Malin 8th, Garrett Jarnigan 9th, DJ Fluck rounding out your top 10. Eric Richardson 11th, number 25 Rohan James in 12th, Connor Fusion 19 and 13th, and then Lane Snow rounding out the field in 14th. Popular win here by the British man himself. I believe our only non-American driver as he burns it down on the ovals. Good smoke show for the fans. Let's see if we can't get some interviews for you all. Braden Lewis, this is John Miles in the booth. You got me?
Yeah, I got you.
Well, you're the first one to get sniped, sitting P3 by the end of this race, but I believe after this you will have the points lead with Garrett Jarnigan crashing out a little bit earlier in the race. Tell me about your night. A little bit ups, a little bit down, but still P3 finish.
Yeah, I was glad I got to the podium, got to lead a couple laps. I pushed way too hard to get the lead, so I had some pretty bad tire fall off there, and they got back around me. But, a podium's great, and getting the points lead back or getting the points lead, hopefully, is pretty nice, so.
You have the points lead, but we're also heading to a road course in a couple weeks. Nervous about that? Nervous, excited? Tell me how you're feeling.
Nervous. I'm not a road racer, so it's going to be interesting to see what happens, I guess.
Well, I appreciate you taking the time. Is there anyone you'd like to thank before you head over to P2?
Yeah, everybody at SMR and FR Racing and everybody for coming out to race.
Sounds good. And with that, we'll take it to another SMR driver, JP Jones, coming home P2. A crazy night for you. A lot of battles in the middle of the field, but you end up finishing in the second position. Tell me some of the highs and tell me some of the lows.
Well, the high was leading and the low was getting passed for the lead.
Yeah, I can imagine. Braden Lewis talked a little bit about the tire wear. Did you notice that as much, or did you notice more of the draft being the reason why there was so much passing?
The draft, I think, was the reason for the passing, and I believe if hadn't been so much draft, I think the field would have been spread a whole lot further apart than it was.
Well, I appreciate you taking the time to do this interview. Is there anyone else you'd like to thank before we kick it off to our winner?
Just my teammates, and thank you guys for putting on the race.
Of course. And with that said, I'll take it off to your number in the top of the podium spot, Scott Rolls. The foreigner gets it done on American soil. Tell me how you did it.
Biding my time, looking after the tyres. Got into a little bit of an incident at one point, but it didn't really affect me. And then, I just had more pace at the end.
Rubbins racing, as we say over here, and there was a whole lot of that going on. Talk to me a little, and all the other drivers have said there's quite a bit of tire wear. We took out the anti-roll bar in this ARCA car, which should have made it a little bit more loose on exit. Were you feeling that at all, or was it still kind of a tighter driving race car?
About 10 laps in, you started feeling the rear end wanted to slide out a little bit, but it was I didn't have too many problems, really.
There was a good battle there between you, JP Jones, and Braden Lewis there. Kind of just swapping positions back in the top three. At what point did you say, okay, this is the move I have to make, and this is how I need to finish this race?
Well, I hit the wall a little bit and dropped off.
Yeah.
And then it was pretty much since then I was just going for it. And I guess my tires just hung on.
I asked Braden Lewis this question already, but I'm going to throw it to you as you have a little bit more experience and skill when it comes to this department. But next week, or in 2 weeks, we're heading to the road course. How you feeling?
Oh, these cars aren't easy. So we'll see. I'm not sure.
Nervous, but I'm sure looking forward to it. Is there anyone else you'd like to thank before you end this broadcast?
That'd have to be my teammates and the Queen. Rest in peace.
Rest in peace indeed. That was your winner, Scott Roll. Scott, thank you for joining us.
Okay, no problem.
And that will wrap up your broadcast. Once again, thank you all for joining us. This has been John Miles in the booth. Make sure to catch tomorrow. We're heading to Spa in the IndyCar Racing Series. And then on Wednesday, we'll be back here at Michigan to wrap up the season finale for Wednesday Night Dash. Once again, this has been your host, John Miles, ending the stream for your Bottom Split Racing Series. Thank you for spending your Monday with us. We'll see you in a couple weeks.